بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم. السلام عليكم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. My name is Fadi Jawdat Al-Hindi. I'm the Chief Executive Officer for تكافل الإمارات. Your Excellencies, حضرات الأخوات والأخوان, thank you very much for coming to this talk. We are privileged to be here to present to you our experience with talking about the customer journey for تكافل الإمارات. But actually I feel I'm back with family because I've worked in Dubai government and Abu Dhabi government and I've worked with many ministries. اشتغلت ويا الهيئات الاتحادية ويا حكومة دبي وحكومة أبو ظبي في خلال السنوات ال 15 سنة اللي طافل. I feel like I'm back with family. So thank you very much for your time today and for listening to us. I will do the presentation in English. سامحونا. I think هذا كان الطلب. Basically تكافل الإمارات is a life and medical insurance company. We offer medical insurance, both the basic insurance for low income people, as well as comprehensive insurance for both individuals and groups, and we offer life insurance as well. And what has happened with تكافل الإمارات is that we've been on a very big transformation journey. I actually used to work for DEWA. I was the Chief Operating Officer for DEWA for about a year and a half in innovation and the future. I was recruited from there to come and transform تكافل الإمارات from the way that we deliver our products and services to the way that we do things in the back office, the way that we do things internally within تكافل الإمارات. So it is no surprise that customer experience is all the rage. Everybody now is talking about customer experience. We know that it's become a very big focus for a lot of companies to make sure that they improve the products and their products and the way that they offer their services. And as I was just mentioning, Dubai government and the UAE government at large have been actually doing quite a bit in customer journey mapping and customer experience improvements, and they've actually set the trend for the private sector. فما شاء الله يعني بالعكس the government both on the local level and the federal level have done some substantial improvements in customer experience and have set the path for a lot of the private sector on how products and services should be delivered. I know that the federal government has the customer experience lab where they actually do quite a bit of design thinking, solicit input from the customers and the way that the products and services should be delivered. And I know that GX also have a customer experience lab here as well, or area where they also meet with the customer. And this is definitely a very positive sign and something that the UAE has distinguished itself from the rest of the governments around the world. And we're very proud to be a part of this nation. Now to talk about insurance, on the flip side, insurance is one of the oldest industries and probably one of the last to transform. Insurance is very classical, not only here, but even globally in the way that it's delivered, the way that we offer the products, the way that we deliver the service. And it's a very stubborn and old industry. I don't know if you heard the term underwriting. I always like to make fun of this word. Underwriting comes from the early 1900s when the ships in England would leave the harbor. There would be a manifest on the ship of what's the cargo, and a bank or an insurer would come and say, I am willing to undertake the risk of this shipment, making it to its destination. So wherever that manifest is of all the line items that's on that ship, somebody will come and underwrite and put their name that they will insure this ship. That term is still used till today in 2019, and we talk about underwriting all the time. We know that as an industry, we have to reinvent ourselves, and this is what we set out to do in January of 2018 at تكافل الإمارات. The way that customers come in touch with our products is usually either to buy, to renew, or to file a claim. Outside of that, they want to have nothing to do with us. And we wanted to change that to actually make it, we don't want them to be like, hanging out at the insurance company. That's not the intent. But what we wanted is we want them to say, go buy from تكافل الإمارات. They offer a great product, easy to buy, great service, great customer experience. Because we believe that this is what customers really want from their insurer, to actually come closer to them and offer them what they're expecting to receive. So when we started looking at this concept of customer experience and products and services, the competition in the UAE, mashallah, is aggressive. And in the GCC, there are 62 insurance companies in the UAE alone. 62 insurance companies for such a small market. So there's always price wars and price competitions for sure. But our philosophy is that based on the research, 60% of people surveyed are actually willing to pay more for a better product rather than just doing a price comparison and taking the cheapest. Why? Because when your car breaks down or you need approval in the hospital or la samahallah, you're filing a claim, you want that insurer to actually be very quick in processing your claim or processing your request. So when customers recognize that I can buy it from here for 100 dirhams less versus buy it from here and actually get a better service, a number of customers are actually willing to pay for the higher price. So we're saying is that it's not about price. If it's about price, it's a race to the bottom, no one will win. We have to start pricing and we have to start thinking about service. And this is what we've also used as kind of our starting point for our transformation. So given that we wanted to do this this customer experience and improve the products and services, actually going to turn to a different topic that is very linked and connected. We had to start internally first. The Kaful Emirat was a very hierarchical organization when I took it over. We were in data and it was closed offices, cubicles, IT and finance and all of these different functions, talked to each other by email, even though they were a few feet from each other. And the thinking was always about documenting things so that we make sure we protect ourselves. Just not a team environment or a collaborative environment. There were problems with JDs and competencies and pay and grades and you name it. Just a classical organization that has been around for 10 years, has a lot of problems in communication. People feel they're treated unfairly. We spent the first 3 to 4 months basically fixing everything internally. So we looked at the job descriptions, we looked at the roles, we looked at the competencies, we looked at the pay scale, we fixed all of these issues. We opened up all the offices. So we have one big massive, this is not a surprise or not something new for UAE government or Dubai government because a lot of the governments have already been moving in that direction and this space is like a prime example of that. We've opened it up to one open floor space, including myself as the chief executive. I sit with everybody else on the floor. I am reachable. They can just walk up to me and ask a question. I can go talk to the finance. It's just an open space. So we transformed the culture and we focused on changing people's mindset, the way that they think, the way that they behave, the way that they operate. Because if they're going to serve the customer, I have to make sure these people are served properly. They're well compensated, they're trained, they have the right job descriptions, they know their roles and they know what they're supposed to do. Then I'm pretty sure that if I set out some aggressive targets for them, they will go get it. So this was our focus in the beginning for what we've done internally at the Kaful Emirat. Go to the next slide. Added to this was right after we fixed a lot of the fundamentals, the way that we work and operate and everything, and even gave some tools to enable our team. We rarely use email inside the office. It's all social technologies. So we're using Slack and Dropbox and these types of things to actually enable real-time communication and interaction with our team to reduce the amount of time that it takes to solve problems or be able to reach a solution. I mean, that's just become a standard practice. How many of you heard of Simon Sinek? No? Simon Sinek? TED Talks. You have, mashallah, Abir. Very good. Simon Sinek is one of the thought leaders about management, leadership, and company performance. And he talks about something called the golden circle. So he says, you need to understand what's the true purpose for the organization. Why do you get up in the morning? Why are you motivated to do what you do or come to work? So that's the why. That's really the core of what he calls the golden circle. Then on the next layer is what's called the how. How do you deliver the product or service to your customer? And then the final layer is the what. What products and services do you deliver or offer to your customer? So typically speaking, when you go into an organization, immediately they start talking about the product. We sell life insurance, we sell medical insurance. We took 2 steps back, brought the entire team after this cultural transformation and said, let's talk about our true value as an organization. Why do we exist? What's so great about Takaful Imarat that people would want to buy from them? And we discovered our true purpose. We took 220 people, half a day, and we used stories from dealing with customers that made people feel good about themselves to actually extract out what we call the why statement. I get out of bed in the morning because it's my responsibility to protect the lives of my customers and their loved ones and make sure that they recover quickly from setbacks. That's our why statement. And it's the why statement across 220 people. The hows are the values of how we deliver that. The what are the insurance products that we sell, life and medical, with all the variants. So in our mind, it's very clear we have changed the mindset, not only from the way people operate on a day-to-day basis, but now it's ingrained in their mind, customer first. So, and I'll tell you a story. When I walk around the office, just like everybody else, you know, I don't stay in my office or whatever. Sometimes I'll be walking through the customer care center and I'll find a customer waiting. I will go help the customer. They don't know that I'm the CEO. So immediately they start complaining, right? Oh, there's this problem and that problem, whatever. And then I'll just bring them, I'll bring the right people, and I'll solve their problem. And it's for me to demonstrate to my people that no one is above the law in actually serving the customer. We all exist to serve the customer. And I hope, inshallah, the rest of my team has the same mentality. So it's customer first, then we got to make sure that everything that we do is aligned to that. So that's about our why statement. So you can imagine that we've set this as a strategic objective for us to make sure that we deliver a great experience. And this is what we've been working on for the past year and a half, basically. And we're going to share with you are some of the concrete steps that we have taken. It's a high-level methodology for designing a customer experience, but it's concrete steps that we took to actually deliver the products and services that you can get today on our website. From the chatbot to the way that you buy insurance and so on, you can actually see, you can see what happened in the kitchen now. Let's go to the next slide. Simply, I mean, I'm stating the obvious, but believe me, if you think this is obvious, it wasn't so obvious. The first step is listen to your customer. Everybody wants to jump in and start fixing things without actually going and talking to the customer. Know who the customer is, segment the customer, classify them. Read the reviews, understand why they're happy, understand why they're unhappy, and what are the pain points. It's amazing, and I'm not just talking about the Takaful Imarat, the number of organizations that they think they know what the customer wants, but when they actually go to the customer, that's not what the customer wants. So we started by listening to our customers and collecting their feedback. So we looked at real focus groups. We took a sampling of our customers, invited them into our offices in groups of 10 to 15, and I highly recommend, even for government services, that you think about doing the same thing. Now, obviously, with government, you're serving, the entire population of locals as well as expats or residents. So you're going to have to create a sampling of across and invite these people in, and actually, for the products and services that you offer, start asking them, what do you think about this? How would you like to receive this service? How would you like to see this product? How can we improve that? And they will tell you. They'll gladly tell you. And we gave some giveaways. What was it? An AirPod? Oh, we gave them like a gift voucher for Mall of the Emirates or something like that. So they gladly came to our offices, gave us an hour of their time, and it was gold. The information they gave us was amazing because it was the fuel that went into a lot of the re-engineering that we did. So inviting the customers, doing the classification and making sure that we collect all of that information, and then it goes into this design thinking and customer centricity or customer-centric approach. So these are the things that we've collected from our customers, the feedback from real interviews, what are their pain points. Then we've done some benchmarking worldwide to see what do organizations or what do top insurance companies across the world do not only in the Middle East, but also in Europe. I'll start getting out of the way so you guys could take pictures. Also in Europe and in the US, and that was the input into what we called a purpose-built process for CX design at Takaful Imarat. This process has some pillars that we looked at in the beginning. We had to define the problem statement. And I wish if it was easy, but it's a little bit of work. For every product, you have to define the problem statement. For every service, you have to define the problem statement. So if you sell 4 products, you have to do this 4 times. You cannot clump it together and do it in one go. Because if it was a life insurance policy, it's going to be very different from a medical policy. And you have to cater for that difference in the product or service that you're delivering. So we have to specify the problem statement. Then you put on the business assumptions. What business assumptions are you making about this problem statement? A customer is coming to buy medical insurance. I have to say there's competition. There are 61 other providers. Customers hate, dealing with the insurance company. You list out from a business context standpoint, what are the things that need to be fed into your design process so that you understand the context and the mindset of the customer. The next one are the solution assumptions. So here, we're not getting into the technology as much. You can have some statements about technology solutions, but it's more about saying, I want to reduce the amount of time the customer has to type information in forms. I want to speed up the time by which they can check out. I want to be able to accept credit card payments. How can I make it as simple as possible for the customer? You would put it in the solution assumptions, and then you would define the channels by which the customers are going to come through. They're going to come through social media, website, they might walk into your branch. You have to address all of those. If you want to be a customer-centric organization, you have to think about every single touch point. And the biggest challenge, again, we talk about it quite a bit, you have to make sure that you're offering an omni-channel experience. If a customer calls and starts inquiring about a policy, when they walk back into the customer care center, we know that he called. And we can pull up the quote, and we can actually pick up from where he left off. If he decided not to continue, he can go home. Then get on our website, tlife.ae. He'll be able to put in the quote number, and we'll pull up all of his details. We have all of those interactions recorded in our salesforce.com and recorded in our systems. So the customer now has a holistic experience, no matter which touch point or how he or she deals with Takaful Imarat. So these are the channels and why they're important. Now, what are the outputs, or what are the things that actually result from saying I want to have a CX process to make sure that I'm designing the right experience for my customers? These are the things that you'd expect to see. I'm sure there might be a lot more, but for the purpose of like the bread and butter of CX design, you want to see personas, which we'll talk about in a second, and which is basically a grouping of people that will be interacting with the company. Scenarios of how they're going to come and experience your product and service. What are their goals and expectations? What's a journey map? And this is really, the journey map is what everybody ultimately wants to drive to automate and simplify from a customer experience standpoint. So this is really like the holy grail. This is it, the journey map. But you need to do all of this work in order for your journey map to be accurate, have the right context, and be able to use it for the simplification or the improvements. The touch points with the customer, and then the opportunities or the ownership are going to be about who's going to work on the improvements of these things that we've identified. Can you go to the next slide, please? Let's talk about personas. This is actually it's a fun exercise for your team. After you've met with your customers, is to actually envision a customer grouping. This is Majid Hamad. He has, I can't read this, but basically we created a fictitious personality, and we defined what are his goals, what are his frustrations, what's his bio, and we've defined their motivation. So this is what they call a little bit of empathy mapping. And what that means is I'm going to get out of my shoes as an insurance company where I'm pushing medical insurance and I'm dealing with claims, and I'm going to become the customer. As the customer, here's what my problem is, not you processing your claim. So we collect this in multiple different personas. I think we've created 6 or 7 personas per problem statement. And we define, this defines these goals and frustrations for us, as well as we understand how the process has to change in order to address their goals and their objectives. Next slide. Then this is what I was saying is the holy grail, the journey map. I'll get out of the way so you could take a picture. So this journey map, at the top you see a scenario. The scenario explains what is it that the journey is all about. The goals and expectations define for like a subset based on the personas of all the people that we have. What are their achievements, or what are their goals? What are they trying to achieve? What are they expecting? And then we create a set of phases that the customer will go through, from awareness, to pre-buying, to buying, to service delivery, to advocacy. And at every touch point, we look at how we can move the customer from that particular point forward in the buying journey. And what we need to do is look at all of these points where there's a dip. And we need to, in the opportunities and ownership, we need to manage this dip to bring the customer back up. So this is why the journey maps are so important. And if you ever, I'm sure I think it's oversold now, Steve Jobs and his focus on customer experience and yada, yada, yada. But what his obsession was about these dips. How can I either improve this point or remove it? And this is what we look at. Can we simplify? If this is a dip, if you think about these lines as unhappy or not interested, engaged, extremely happy, your objective is by the end of the journey, the customer to be at the top, where they actually are an advocate for your product or service. So managing these dips is what becomes the key thing, and then you deal with it in the opportunities that you have to actually improve this dip. And who's going to own it? Who's going to do the work? Who's going to work on improving that dip? Is it customer service? Is it IT? Is it management? Is it whatever? But then all of a sudden you have a map. You have a map that actually tells you how you're going to get the customer to a happy state and who are going to be involved at every step of the way. Okay, now obviously that journey map, it doesn't end there. That journey map with all those opportunities and solutions then goes into a design process where we talked about design thinking. So this is where IT will come in, UI design, and then everything about system integration and so on and so forth. But this is not the topic for today. Today is more about how do we build great journeys. And I've just shown you, at least from our humble experience, how we've gone about it. And we've re-engineered this for our medical insurance, our basic, and our enhanced. And you can experience this real time on tlife.ae. You can actually see it. And it was done with the thinking of simplifying for the customer. So I'll give you an example. It used to take about 4 to 5 days for us to process a basic policy. So you come to our website, you come to our office, you fill in the application, and then you basically leave it, and then you come back, we underwrite it, then you come back and collect your card. Today, it's done in 5 minutes. The insurance actually goes onto your Emirates ID, and it just gets linked to your Emirates ID. We issue the policy in 5 minutes on the website. And we don't even ask you to fill that much information. When you come to our website, you start to buy the policy. When we need your Emirates ID, we say, please take a picture. We take a picture of the Emirates ID. First of all, it becomes the documentation for your policy, for the insurance authority. And we have built the technology to extract all the data off of your Emirates ID and populate the forms. Same thing with the passport, same thing with the residency, and so on and so forth. So what happens is the customer all of a sudden is like, click, click, click. They're just taking pictures, and then the form is populated, and you say, is this information correct, or do you want to amend anything? Correct. Go to payment, pay, done. And then the thing comes through email, and it's completed. The enhanced requires a bit more time, but it used to take about 10 days for us to process it. We do it in 10 minutes on the website now. So if you can see, the impact has been massive on our ability to scale and deliver to the customer expectations. Now, you would say, okay, all of this is great. What does your board think? What does the, I guess in the government thought process, what does the DG think? Or what does His Highness think about what you've done? You got to be able to demonstrate results. So results, we can show you on the next slide. We've actually reduced customer complaints by 73% from 2017 to 2018, and we're seeing a further reduction into 2019. We're getting much better ratings now on Google reviews and Facebook reviews. And also, one of the interesting things at the beginning when I joined was that all the comments were actually turned off on social media because we were getting such bad remarks. And I immediately said, turn all of them back on. And they've just like hammered us. You know, it's just like we got all these bad comments about how terrible we're doing. And then we took every single one of those comments, we put it in a list, and we worked on every single one of those. And then slowly the ship started to turn, and we started hearing and seeing people say, have you seen the Takaful Imarat Customer Care Center? It's awesome. You go in, they've got coffee, seating areas, and they've got these we've got big cylinders just like these, where we actually put ads and everything. It just looks like a futuristic insurance company. So the whole experience has changed because it was all linked from the way that you go into the customer care center to the website and so on. We talked a little bit about the technology, where we have to make sure now. As I said, this is not an IT talk, but basically now that we've got the journey, the entire IT stack has to align back into the back office to deliver that journey. We're not going to bend the journey to fit the systems. If the systems are not working correctly, you either improve it or remove it, because it's not going to deliver to what your customer is expecting, which is really what you want at the end of the day. In addition to that, some things that you can, and you can read about some of our accomplishments on LinkedIn and Instagram, where we've posted the things that we've done with artificial intelligence and chatbots, and like all of this stuff is like, again, it's not just theory. We have AI running 24/7 in our data centers. We've got 4 or 5 machines that are based on machine learning that constantly spit out predictions on policies, on claims, and so on. And we have about 50 robots. These are software robots that operate on back office. So instead of hiring people to do certain tasks, these robots do the process end to end, and they're available in a dashboard. And we have 50 of those, RPA, if you heard the term. So I think the key message here, and I know I'm beating it down pretty hard. If you want to improve the way that your customer is receiving the product or service, it's got to be about the customer at every step of the way. It's not about what the CEO think. It's not about what the CFO think. It's not about what the IT guy cannot get done. It's about what the customer wants and how they want to experience that product or service. This is what we're after. Next slide. So this constant focus, and you can see from what I've explained, this paradigm shift in thinking, where we've actually fixed a lot of the issues for our internal team, and then we made it all about the customer, and then everything that we do, at least that's our target. Everything that we do internally is moving towards fulfilling that customer desire or that customer need. So we're saying that customer loyalty will come from actually having the courage and the commitment to take this approach of customer centricity and going after it, aggressively, like we have, to actually fix all of these broken points in the journey and give the customer what they really hope and deserve as somebody that's experiencing your product or service. Inshallah ma akun طولت عليكم. I hope I didn't take too long. شكرا جزيلا. بارك الله فيكم. شكرا.